All right. Happy Friday, everyone. Wave meteorologist Brian Good. All right. Yeah, we got Storm Talk that's going to be out today instead of Snow Talk. Yes, I will still cover some of the snow aspect of the forecast, but we do need to keep an eye on how things are going to evolve for tonight. Not a major ordeal, but certainly one that can be a little sneaky and one that if you're not fully expecting it will wake you out of bed with some of the lightning and thunder and you're like, what is going on? So this is more just to explain what is likely to happen tonight so that you're not caught off guard and are fully aware as we head into the evening and certainly the overnight hours into early Saturday. And then we'll get into the complex setup as we head into early on or really late now, the way it's trending for Monday night. All right, I see some of your comments. Hello, Aaron. Hope you're doing well. Hello, Michael over in Simpsonville. Hope you guys are doing great. Again, your comments, I see them on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I get it all on one nice screen here. It's small. I can't read it because I'm old, but it's there. So I do see you. So just be patient with me on that. And let me try to explain as much as I can. It's the best way I've always tried to do this, explain it, and then try to come back around to some of your questions. But this thing can move fast, so you may have to help me on saying the question again or asking the question again so that I know that you are certainly been answered on that idea. Okay, let's get you outside where at the moment, it's not bad. The wind's a little breezy. We'll have a little bit of a wind at times, 20 or so miles per hour for today. Nice south wind in the area. Cloud cover is key on warmth for today as far as the specifics, although really not to get too picky here, you're really not going to notice a huge difference between 65 and up to near 70 as you would if it were sunny outside. It would feel different. But in this case, with the wind and the clouds, it really is not going to create a huge difference as far as what it feels to you and I. But certainly areas along the Ohio River and near Louisville and 64 will likely be warmer than areas in central Kentucky because you guys are socked in under a fairly thick blanket of clouds. We'll go through the numbers. 55 in Louisville right now. We got 54 into Bardstown, 54 into Campbellsville. So let's take a look at the sky from up above. And you can see where the sun is out across I-64, at least north of it, and across Indiana. This is where we're going to find 65 to maybe up to 70. That'll be the range we will see roughly across the Ohio River zone. Once you get into central Kentucky, though, these clouds are very persistent and they're not going to break up. So you will stay overcast for the rest of the day. You may get to about 60, maybe 61. Some of you may even stay in the 50s. It's certainly possible. It just depends on your location there. So kind of a flip-flop from what we normally would see. Louisville is always odd just because the way the airport is configured. So there is a chance we could get temperatures close to record levels. The record in Louisville is 70, set back in 2009. Sounds weird to say set back in 2009, but anyway, it's close. We're not forecasting a record warmth right now. I think we'll fall short of that, but still a decent day. So, but this is not the big story. You would think it would be, but it's not. But it is feeding what will likely be the end result here, and that is some showers and some thunderstorms. We've already got a few showers that have been trying to form. I have formed actually into Tennessee, but the flow is so far punching due east there across the Tennessee Valley, so they're not heading north. They're heading straight into eastern Kentucky and Tennessee, not bothering us for at least this particular period anyway. And you can see the clouds as the sun gets above the horizon. You see the flow there again, heading more east in time. Now, what will likely develop here, and I'll show you Futurecast in a second because I think it's got a good handle on this. We're going to see a few showers, maybe a rumble of thunder develop right into central Kentucky, maybe around Louisville, and this will happen this evening. It looks fairly spotty when that happens, but I can't run a rumble of thunder. I don't see anything on the strong side, certainly with that, as that kind of just breezes on by here. But you could get maybe some peace ice hail, one or two of those. I wouldn't rule it out. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with that round because it'll help explain for us as meteorologists how the second round will likely evolve. But this, again, will be mid-evening. Timing, I'll show you in a second. Then the next round is going to develop right across Illinois, Missouri, Tennessee, into West Kentucky. And it actually will be a bit split. So let me redraw this. We will have two different areas that will develop after midnight. One will likely be across northwest Tennessee into central Kentucky. That will slide along I-65 heading eastbound, may graze Louisville. The second batch is going to develop in Illinois and in southwest Indiana. Those will also race to the east. These will be a little more cellular. They'll move across Indiana. Eventually, because the way it's set up, the two are going to just merge together into one big blob of heavy rain and thunder that'll move across central Kentucky and Tennessee. But once that happens, once they get out of their cellular mold, the individual cells, supercells, if you will, any chance of strong thunderstorms or severe weather gets cut. So that will happen quick. But when they are first developing, that's when we need to watch for perhaps some hail and some gusty winds. And yes, there is a potential here for an isolated tornado. I can't rule it out. All right, so let me kind of go through the outlook here. This is the newest one that came out. They did extend the marginal risk. We were expecting this even yesterday. We were looking at the data thinking this is where it would need to be. Ryan Hoke and I were talking about this, and even Ron was like, hey, I think right close to 65 there near Evansville. And it's exactly where we got the marginal painted at. And I think it's a good spot for it. So again, it doesn't extend much more to the east, only because the idea they will begin to then merge, and then you just got blobs of rain. All right. So this is not a high end risk. As you can see on the scale, it's the lowest actually of the severe risk potential. It does go all the way up to Meade County, Grayson County, and Breckenridge, a little part of Hardin County, as well as Perry for, again, this overnight period, mainly for that as it evolves. We can break down those threats a little more specifically, by the way. Tornado potential, it's not even listed from the Storm Prediction Center, but looking at the soundings, especially when they first form. And again, I'm thinking right through this particular zone, right in through here. So not really all the way into wave country. There is a zone right in that pocket that keeps standing out every time I look at it, that does show a bit of rotation with a couple of the cells. So it is possible we could get an isolated tornado warning in the setup for tonight. Timing, again, I'll cover in a minute, but it will be late night. Otherwise, looking at the other threats, straight line wind potential, it's not making it onto the scale, but I do think it's possible in isolated cases, especially when they first merge. And the hail is also going to be a little more obvious as far as the potential on severe side of hail when they're in cell mold. When they blob together, that hail potential gets cut. However, it is fairly cold aloft. So I still think this is one of those setups I've seen many times where we have cells all over the place. You're going to have numerous small hail reports just about everywhere. Somebody's going to have a lot of little dinging going on with the ice pellets falling, the hail coming down. Most of that will be pea size, not severe at all. But pea size hail is probably the most common photo we get on our photo bank on the weather app itself. It's always pea size hail. Well, pea size hail, snow on a deck, and a rainbow. Those are the three things I think we get more of than anything. And this is a classic setup where we'll get a lot of small hail reports. But getting to quarter size hail, well, that's a little different. That's where it really gets your attention. That's where it can cause some minor damage when you get to that level. Now, this looks very isolated, but that threat will likely be to the west. I think it's going to be more of a dime to nickel size. But again, the tornado potential and damage you wind and the hail threat all kind of line up in the same idea, cellular pockets. That's what we need to watch. Once they blob together, we're fine. And that's going to happen again right along the I-65 corridor. We'll see that transition happen. So many of you watching right now will get that end result of a blob of rain and a lot of thunder, a rolling thunder too. So that's likely going to wake you up earlier than you probably planned for a Saturday. All right, let's go through the future cast here. All right, so here's this evening. This is about 9 o'clock. These are the ones this evening again that pop. Don't see anything severe with that, but one or two could have some pea-size hail even with these. Can't rule that out. But the coverage is quite limited for this particular first round. That scoots by. We get quiet through the midnight hour. Then after midnight, we get to about 2, 3 o'clock. The cells begin to pop. And again, there's two different areas. We'll see this happen. One across southwest Indiana into Illinois and across central Kentucky. This is where we start to watch for the hail reports to kick in. This is 4:30 in the morning. Carson Meredith, I don't know if he's watching right now. He's here at the station, but he'll be on the air starting at 5 a.m. Hopefully he's not on the air sooner than that, but if he has to be, he will be. But go easy on him because it's early in the day, right, to deal with thunderstorms. But it will be certainly lighting up the radar about that time, about 4:30 in the morning. Once these cells head to the east, you see that we get the merging that is happening, and now we get into the more of the blobbiness, if you will. A couple of cells on the southwest side. Yeah, I got to watch those as well. But this is just one model's idea. There's different versions of how this plays out when you get to specifics, which is why modeling is hard this close in range. But the idea is the same. Looking at the wind fields and the fuel, when the fuel is quite limited here, it's a nighttime event. Areas, again, Southwest Indiana, near Evansville, to about Perry County, Harrison County. You need to watch that for the individual cells. And then also our southern counties we need to watch. And then we'll see just how quickly they can merge together to just a very heavy rain event. This is at 6:30 a.m. I'll watch what happens. After this moves on by, it's gone fast. So if you sleep in and you get through the thunder, then you're going to wake up like, did anything happen? Because it's over at that point. All right. So then after that, we have another round of rain that will move in Saturday night. It's a second wave. This could have thunder, but no severe weather. This is the second round. Look at this. This is arriving now with cooler temperatures. So instead of 60s, we're looking at 40s to around 50 with this second round. Now, the rain shield is up for debate on how far north it will reach as it scoots across Kentucky. Certainly, if you're near the parkways and south, you're going to be impacted. But around Louisville and Oldham County back into Meade County, it's going to be close. We may be able to see it starting us down. I don't know if it's going to get all the way in the city, but with it being Saturday night, a lot of you may be out on town. I don't know. You got a hot date. Just be aware of that potential of that line getting in. Indiana, obviously, you guys would be a little too far north to see that as it breezes through the area. So let's talk about the potential or the timing on this. Again, we'll start. I can't put the time frame in this particular window here of the evening what's tonight, but be aware, 9 o'clock or so, a few isolated showers. But otherwise, the main chance is going to be right there, 3:30, 4, 5, and 6, and then quickly it is gone. So thank goodness this is not an all-night ordeal, and this is not one threat that's going to be a threat in the morning, a threat at night. You know, we have to constantly watch it and be on guard. It's just a narrow window of a couple of hours. It's just the timing is not great, and that's why we're going to talk about it a little more than we normally would in this scenario, because it's February and it's the middle of the night. You may not have your weather radios plugged in because you're not in severe weather thinking right now, and you may have some hail, but that isolated tornado obviously is something you need to be fully aware of and be ready for in case the alerts come out. Make sure you have your Wave Weather app activated. Make sure you can customize the alerts. If you don't want to get severe thunderstorm warnings, I don't know why you wouldn't, but if you don't want to, you just want tornado only, you can select it on the app so you don't get waking up by that. All right. What questions can I answer on this before I get to the snow? Everyone good? Let me backtrack. Dan, wait a minute. Dan, I thought you were in Tampa. Weren't you in Tampa? Oh, you're landing at 5:30. Sorry, I didn't finish this sentence. Sorry about that. You will have spotty downpours, but it'll be fine. A bumpy ride for landing, though, Dan, but you'll be all right. You'll be all right. That flight, I'm thinking you're probably Southwest. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing, but it does tend to always have delays getting from Tampa to Louisville, so hopefully that doesn't cause you a problem. It's only just because of other parts of the country. Cheryl, we'll get to the snow part in just a second. Linda, any potential overnight tornado activity? Hopefully I answered that for you with that isolated chance, mainly to the west. Okay, so everyone, let's see. American. Okay, you're probably, never mind then. I was just guessing. Okay, type 234 if you're good. 234 if you are good on the storm part of the forecast. If you are, 234, we'll move on, and then we'll get into how things will evolve into Monday and Tuesday, which, by the way, not to ignore Super Bowl Sunday, it looks mainly dry for Super Bowl Sunday. Just FYI, we'll be in between systems. The daytime period looks dry. Once we get into Super Bowl night, after the game, we may start to get the rain into the area, but nothing crazy, nothing on snow, no icy roads, no severe weather, anything like that. So Super Bowl Sunday will be a tame setup. All right. Everyone looks okay. And Tammy, you may get some lightning and thunder, but Tammy, with you being in Carrollton, you're going to be far enough east, you will likely get more of a heavy rain scenario. Michael, are you going to issue an alert day for tonight or Saturday? Not at this point. Doesn't meet we have criteria. We actually try to keep it fairly strict on the criteria on these events. So whenever we have a string of alert days, it's very unusual, like we just went through in January. But it doesn't quite meet it, but still, it doesn't mean you can't get an isolated warning that can come out. So that's why we will make sure to clarify. All right, let's go to Sunday or Monday's event. So the issue here with this low that's moving in, First off, the low is going to track right over us, basically from near Jackson, Tennessee through Bowling Green, Lake Cumberland, south of Lexington. That's the track. This is an excellent track to get a big winter storm. I mean, a big winter storm. However, we're battling warm air and a warm ground. Therefore, it takes a lot of the out of it for snow lovers. It's a good track, though. Still, we got to watch the northwest side of the track of the low, because there will be, and the best way I can describe this is a U shape. It's a deformation band, deformation zone, if you will, that forms on the northwest side of the low. It's kind of a U. That is where you will get heavier rates. The low is getting stronger as it moves across Kentucky. That's key. It gets stronger. It will have heavier rates in that little horseshoe shape that develops. In that area, you can overcome a warm atmosphere. You pull down the cold air, and you get suddenly from rain over to just big giant snowflakes that start coming down. Actually, very pretty snow when this happens. Very pretty snow. And it can be quite intense. I mean, come down really hard. And that's the zone we're watching. Now, this was a daytime timing yesterday, which worked against it. Wasn't on my list as being a fan of how this is going to play out, but it is slowing down. Or speeding up, I should say. Sorry about that. Because it is slowing down. I'm dyslexic and I'm tired. Sorry about that. It is slowing down to where we don't have it be taking place in the daytime period Monday. It's now Monday night that it moves through. So now we can ease back from that idea of, wait a minute, this is not going to be a daytime event. So maybe the coolness of night will help that horseshoe shape in developing maybe that snow band. That's good. So next we got to figure out where will that be? That's the challenge, because it's not a very wide area at all. It's very narrow. And it is any fluctuation of just 30, 40 miles makes a difference between you getting a cold rain and you getting a burst of snow. Now, for central and southern Kentucky, at the moment, I'm not seeing much support for you guys at all, just because of the track. You will be right over the low pressure. But if you live around Carrollton and Cincinnati, southern Indiana, certainly, all the way back toward even northwest of Breckinridge County, that's the zone to watch. Louisville is close. But I tell you what, Louisville also has to battle the heat island effect. So the horseshoe shape, if you will, has to work harder in Louisville to overcome that atmosphere and to cause problems. All right, so that's an issue that we have to track, is going to be that amount, or the track of it all, the horseshoe shape. You see temperatures vary from the 30s to the north to near 60, even some thunderstorms. And I can't rule out some strong thunderstorms too, by the way. If you are in Adair County and right on the edges of Marion and Washington, just be aware. We'll have to see how that plays out on timing, but it's possible. It's absolutely possible. What a range that would be, though, right? Thunderstorms around 60, and then a band of heavy snow on the northwest side into our Indiana County. So as this moves on by, though, it will, whoops, that went fast. Let me backtrack. All right, there it is at, let me replay this. Hold on, because I can't draw anymore. I like to draw. All right, there we go. So it moves on by as we head into the evening time period. I would say southern Indiana has got a good chance, 6 p.m. to about 10 p.m. or so. Louisville likely will see this switch over. You see, it's very quick. Look how fast it moves through. Yeah, it's only just a couple hours. Sorry, but it moves by fast. But Louisville has a chance to see it change over as well. So it moves on by. Then we drop into the model here is the Euro is going with 20s. I don't know if we'll get that cold, but either way, there will be at least a risk for some slick spots on elevated roads and bridges. So Tuesday morning's commute may be impacted by that scenario. So now your question is, how much? You've been asking that 20 times in the chat. Sorry about that. Right now, we're still working with about a good ½ inch of liquid, right? I do think a lot of this is going to melt. Even the snow for a while, after you change over, it is going to melt instantly. However, if the areas that we are talking about can see it come down hard enough, you can, I've seen this many times, you can and will overcome a warm ground, and it will accumulate. Everyone always says it's too warm, it won't stick. Trust me, seen it happen over and over again. It can happen. But there's a catalyst to that. It's got to snow hard. If it's a light snow, yes, it will melt instantly on the ground and it will not accumulate. So we don't know yet how the rate will play out with this. But at the moment, if you're looking at the weather models, some of you out there are, whatever you do, don't look at the accumulation maps because they're not going to be correct. The snow ratios are roughly going to be 5-to-1. So this is the disappointing part. Early guess, this is an early guess. This is probably about an inch or two or less. So yeah, not that overly exciting, right? The only way I could see it going higher than that, it would be the rates would have to be higher than what we see on the data now. And that is possible. But we do warm up in the 40s on Tuesday. So whatever falls here is going to be a memory quickly. So you're going to have to be ready for this Monday night. Here is the Euro matrix. And I've always told you guys to look at this. Don't get too excited on the amounts, but look at the noise that we have and the gaps that have filled in for Monday night. And these are the ensembles. Just about all of them are filled in. That's good. Don't see that too often. And we do have several blues that are showing up. So that would be an advisory level. You get into the blue. So there is a chance that we could easily get, a few inches of snow or a couple inches of snow in that heavier band. It's interesting, but confidence is going up on that band. But you got to be in that horseshoe band, guys. You got to be in that, and that could still change on the track. In fact, it will change on the track. So don't get too excited. Don't get too disappointed yet. Give us some time to work through this through the weekend, and we'll keep you updated. Tyler, we'll be traveling to show the eclipse. Sorry, I thought you were asking about the snow. Yes, I think I am. It likely will be Seymour, but more to come on that, Tyler. Okay, let's get into the rest of next week. Confidence remains low, but I tell you what, we got a couple of clippers they'll be diving down that have major timing issues. One's like Wednesday and Thursday, another one's Thursday, Friday, but I keep seeing it flip around a bunch of times. But here's the issue in the longer term is that we're going to be just nonstop low pressures moving in from Canada. We're still going to have low pressures moving in across areas of the south, but you see the obvious little arc here of warmer air that is trying to push into the Ohio Valley while you've got cold air that's constantly gets reinforced for the Great Lakes, New England, and the Mid-Atlantic. Those two issues will be the battles that will happen for the rest of February and likely for just about all of March. So get ready. This is going to be a crummy weather pattern if you were hoping for a spring setup, because this is going to allow for some cold weather at times and very, very active weather. The EPO, which is the East Pacific oscillation that we watch for the jet stream out of the Pacific, it does, and it's flipping back to a positive area briefly before it goes back neutral to negative. That's important. That means we are going to have certainly a chance to try to punch in several storm systems coming in from the Pacific, but still the Arctic oscillation is quite negative. In fact, looking at the stratosphere, when you see basically the wind go down and the temp go up, that could be potentially a significant, will cause stratospheric warming event that can take place. And this means that cold air is certainly going to be available and diving into Canada. It doesn't have to always attack us directly. It just has to be nearby with an active storm track and things get a little wild. And that's the trend. But the outlook here is delayed. Once you see this flip, which is roughly the 20th and 21st of February, today is the 9th, it takes another week or so to see the end result of that. So I know we keep pushing back more of that colder weather, and we're going to, as long as we see that data, we have to push it back. But that would then mean March is much more of a target for wintry weather than we're going to see over the next week. I hope that all made sense. It's very complex. I try not to be wishy-washy on this, but I just letting you know the data is overwhelming on that idea that we're going to be busy for the end of the month and certainly March. I think March is going to be our new target month, though, for a wintry setup. But those are usually your wet snows, right, in March, not your cold Arctic snows where you get ice and you can't get out of the house for days. These are kind of snows that usually melt away in like 24 hours. But you can get some doozies. So it gets exciting. All right, any questions? Driving to Litchfield to Lexington Monday evening. Roads overall, I don't see a big issue right now, especially in your direction of Litchfield to Lexington. Even if we were to drive through snow, they'll just be wet. And treatment of roads, especially salt, and I can be able to put down any brine down because we'll have rain all day. But salt is really going to be effective in this scenario. So the main roads should do great in this setup. Your side roads will actually develop more of a slush than snow covered. You'll get slushy. So it is a very sloppy, wet snow. Again, ratio is about 5-to-1. So very high water content, but it's tough to get a lot of accumulation out of that unless you get a lot of moisture out of that northwest side. Let's see. Drive home after the Super Bowl party on I-69, Adam. You'll be fine. You'll be fine there. The rain will start to approach likely out of the system, but you'll good. All right, I got to run, guys. Sorry, to keep this all brief here today. Well, actually, it wasn't brief; it's forever. But at least wanted to make sure to touch base on tonight. That's important to keep an eye on those thunderstorms. Have a way to get notified. I'll have more on midday, and of course, we'll be tracking the setup there for Monday into Tuesday. There's a lot to track, guys. Busy times. Hang tight.